Howdy, buddy.
Hi, guys. Well, from gorgeous Salt Lake City, Utah,
It's Thank God I'm Atheist.
the podcast.
I'm Frank Feldman.
And I'm Dan Beecher.
And coming up today, Dan, we're going to have a discussion about how we're just a couple of lazy learners.
We're lazy. We're just pieces of shit when it comes right down to it. At least according to old Rusty Nelson over to the Mormon church.
Yeah.
So we'll chat a little bit about those Mormons and what they've been up to.
Yeah. Not bad.
In the latter days
In
of our
these
show.
latter days. What the latter-day saints are up
But
to.
you have to get through all this other crap that we're going to talk about before you get to that. So let's get through that.
Yes, indeed. Well, Dan, I've got a fashion story to start off with. Not a normal topic for me.
You're reasonably fashionable.
Oh, well,
You're
thank
fashion
you,
conscious,
Dan. Well, coming from you, Dan, that means so much.
Well, because I'm such a fashionista.
Indeed. Well, Dan,
Yeah.
have you heard of Jay-Z? This guy named Jay-Z. Are you familiar?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Well, Jay-Z was caught wearing a T-shirt
Oh dear.
that I don't.
Listen,
he was.
if you start out a story with Jay-Z was caught wearing a T-shirt, because the man wears plenty of T-shirts. This has got to be one hell of a T-shirt. I'm excited. I want to learn. I want to know more.
He was caught walking out of a restaurant wearing a T-shirt that was then spotted by the worshippers at Riyadh Mosque on the island of Lamu in Kenya.
Okay.
And they were sorely offended.
Wow.
Because their mosque was on his T-shirt. And according to one Mr. Abu Bakr Badawi, who is the Secretary General of the Riyadh Mosque and Islamic Center, he says that the problem is that when wearers of these T-shirts, right, that feature the mosque, end up in bars, clubs, and all sorts of sacrilegious joints, then it is an affront to those who revered the mosque.
He was in a bar with that thing. They hate those.
He was wearing a shirt with a screen printed mosque on it.
Ugh.
And they were offended.
The gall.
He said the letters that this guy wrote to the designer Zeddy Loki. I mean, they tracked this motherfucking shirt down, right? They write this letter, and it says that the worshipers actually feel insulted by the photos of Jay-Z wearing this T-shirt portraying our Riyadh Mosque. And so the designer, who was trying to promote Lamu, right, this island,
right,
which is a UNESCO listed World Heritage Site.
Okay.
And the mosque itself is a top tourist attraction.
Sure.
Right. And so he's trying to do this good thing. Well, so he writes back and he apologizes. He says that only 20 of the T-shirts were made, and they were produced for celebrity friends, and that he's advising them not to wear them in bars and clubs. Right?
Also, while you're at it, don't pet a dog. They don't like those.
Don't eat pork.
Don't eat pork. If
while
you
wearing
can.
the T-shirt.
Don't
Dear
draw any
God.
pictures of humans while you're wearing the T-shirt.
You're essentially Muslim while wearing the shirt.
That's right. If you could just pray 5 times a day while you're wearing the shirt, we'd appreciate that.
Anyway, the Secretary General of the mosque, he said that they are satisfied with the apology because there was no malice on the designer's part. We need to forgive and be tolerant.
Oh, yeah.
He's tolerant. Muslims are so tolerant.
Well, that's what they're known for.
This whole story is just such a great example of their infinite tolerance. And also, you know, it would help them to be tolerant if you do what they want you to do.
Here's the thing.
Right. Like,
yeah.
they tolerate you more.
We'll be totally tolerant
their rules.
Once you comply with our every demand. And speaking of complying with our every demand, so while you were talking, I wanted to see this T-shirt, so I Googled it.
Yeah.
And I've got this thing, and I clicked on the designer's Instagram and the clothing, his brand's Instagram. Both of them are shut down.
Oh.
Which probably has to do with all of that tolerance we were talking about.
Yeah, no kidding. Wow.
But I don't know for sure. Well, speaking of tolerant, I'm gonna go to Canada, the Great White North, where up in Edmonton, Alberta, or sort of west of Edmonton, Alberta, there's a church called Grace Life Church, which, like so many churches during this fucking pandemic, has been very interested in continuing to church.
Yeah.
Even though, no, you really, really, really shouldn't do that. Well, unlike these United States, where the government just kowtows to the government is basically just sort of the administrative wing of Christianity here in these United States. Mm-hmm. Up in Canada, it's not quite so cozy. And the Alberta Health Services have said you can't meet for church. You just we're going to say no to that because there's a pandemic. I don't know if everybody's noticed, but there's one of those.
Right.
Well, they meant it and have closed the church down. Oh. They literally put barriers around the church. It is physically closed.
Oh my.
And the RCMP, the Mounties, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, are there to stop people getting in. You are not going to church on their watch.
Wow.
I love it.
Well, good for them. They're taking the whole thing seriously, as they should.
Well, and here's the thing. Everybody was up in arms because, of course, it was Easter weekend.
Oh,
But, of course, that's when you have to do it because that's when they're most determined to do the stupid shit.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you got to do it on Easter weekend, regardless of how offensive that is to all of the bunny lovers out there. So, anyway, I applaud Canada, at least on that front.
Yeah, well done. Like, we have no... we have failed in so many ways in this country during
in our
pandemic.
country? Oh, yeah.
You know, so it's always nice to hear about
and
places
Alberta's kind of like, they're the really conservative province.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's impressive that happened. That was sent to us by a listener, by the way. I think it was Adam who sent that in.
Nice. All right. Well, Dan.
Yes.
We have a problem in this country, which is our state legislatures in general are filled with lunatics.
Yeah, just like assholes. A lot of them.
Yes, and Tennessee has noticed this, I believe.
Oh.
So they have a bill that is going before. It's a joint resolution that's been filed in both Tennessee General Assembly.
Right.
And it would change the Tennessee Constitution if it passes and then goes to the people to be, ratified or whatever, how it works with constitutions,
Right.
In order to open up eligibility to serve in the legislature.
Wait.
What?
Not everybody's eligible?
No,
They're
no.
opening it up?
They are opening it up. And so I would ask you, Dan, take a wild guess as to what group of people the Tennessee Constitution has and it currently barred from serving in the state legislature.
Okay, well,
that they would need to rectify.
The first thing that I would need to note is that the Tennessee State Assembly wants these people in amongst their midst.
Well, this is true, yeah.
Which means that it's not going to be like atheists or whatever. This is going to be to clear the path for, I don't know, if you are a felon but you love Jesus, then you can be a Tennessee. Like if you praise Jesus enough times, even if you were a murderer, you can still run for office in Tennessee. Something like that. I don't know.
So close. You're so close. The criminal route is not close, but you've got the spirit of it right. Yes. Currently, the Tennessee Constitution bars ministers of the gospel to be able to serve in the legislature.
Okay.
The section of the Constitution says, whereas ministers of the gospel are by their profession dedicated to God and the care of souls, and ought not be diverted from the great duties of their functions. Therefore, no minister of the gospel or priest of any denomination whatever shall be eligible to a seat in either house of the legislature.
Oh my God. Can I just say that I love the fact that they said that ministry is a great duty? Oh my God. Well, of course they have to clear the path for that. All they want in there is ministers.
Yeah.
They want an entire house of only ministers.
Because it's obviously I mean, talk about people dedicated to God and righteousness.
Right.
But can you believe that they've actually had... This is amazing to me, that in their state constitution, they would bar a profession, right? And that profession was ministers.
Okay.
Like, it's just like, what?
Tennessee listeners, I know that there are a bunch of you. Here's what I need you to do. Start a campaign that says that all the people who are voting for this thing are trying to prevent ministers from doing their godly duties. Just go with that language. Find that language in the Constitution and say, these people are against ministers doing their ordained duties.
Yeah.
That's because otherwise it's just going to pass easily. It's
going to pass easily.
Of course it will.
Like, come on. I just also think that like that language still just period, the concept, period. Yeah. Right. Like, I mean, I think that they should be barred from serving in legislatures, but for obviously very different reasons. Right.
Yeah, totally. The reason that they shouldn't be allowed to do it is because they have a conflict of interest. They're literally like there is a legal separation between church and state, and they're on the wrong side of that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, there you go. Okay. Well, for those international listeners who don't know U.S. geography, Tennessee is one of our southern states. They're a peach. Also in the South, here in the U.S., is one Alabama.
Oh, Alabama.
Which every time we talk about Alabama, there's never good things that happen in Alabama.
There are plenty of good things that happen, but we don't talk about them on this show.
Until now.
Oh, you're kidding.
Well, yes. This is a good story for us, but what it points out is something that was so absurd about Alabama. And the FUFERF had to step in, and they did their good deeds, which God bless the FUFERF, the Freedom from Religion Foundation. They're out there doing the Lord's work. This time, it was because, right now, many states in the South are working to disenfranchise voters, but they're really targeting just sort of black voters. They didn't realize that they had already targeted atheist voters, which is to say that the Alabama voter registration oath, you have to take an oath to register to vote in Alabama. It's a written oath. You just have to sign your name to it.
Oh, okay.
But the oath ends with, "So help me God."
Oh.
Which is like, so it's like either we atheists have to sign our names fraudulently to that, or we don't get to vote. Like, those were the two options for non-believers. So,
wow, yeah.
Fuffer stepped in on behalf of their clients.
Yeah.
And filed a suit. And the suit has now been settled. It wasn't it didn't go to court. It's been settled. And what has happened is that now the new the mail-in ballots provide a checkbox that says optional : because of a sincerely held belief, I decline to include the final 4 words of the oath above.
Oh.
Well, that was the first part. Then they allowed you to cross them out if you wanted to. I love it. You have to feel so like, come on, man. Oh, it's so stupid. Especially when there is data out there that says that, like, people who swear to God are more likely to be defrauding you than people who won't. You know what I mean? Like, there's when you invoke God, it doesn't make you more. It doesn't make you any more have any more integrity or anything like that. But there you go. So
that's
now,
awesome.
Alabamans, or as the Fuffer calls them, Alabamians. I don't know.
Is that a thing?
What is the correct demonym for Alabama?
I don't know.
I want to say
it was
Alabamans.
Alabaman. That's what I would say.
But they call them Alabamians. Anyway, now even the dirty, filthy, disgusting atheists get to vote there.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, good. Good on them.
Yeah.
Get out there and vote.
I recently had to do a deposition for a court case. And
you did?
Yeah. I'll tell you about it later, but in this deposition, I had to swear in, and they were like, "So help you God," and I was like, "Is there can I do something other than swearing to God, because I don't believe in that God?" And they were like, "Oh, yes, you can affirm," but like they had to, the clerk was very clearly hadn't encountered this for a while and just sort of knew back in clerk school that was a thing, but had to really go back to the Rolodex to figure it out.
Oh, wow. So you affirm with your what?
You just say, I affirm that I will tell the truth. Like, how hard is that?
Without the "so help me God."
Without any God involved, I affirm that, yes, I will tell the truth.
Without any God involved. I wish that was the line.
Your God is stupid, but I will tell the truth.
With no need to swear, because I am an honest person to God, because I am always an honest person.
Right.
Yeah, anyway. All right. I feel the need, Dan, to bring up stories about how Saudi Arabia is handling Hajj during COVID. I think it's just they did a great job last year. They limited it to like 10,000 people total, right? To go to which it's normally like 2.5 million people to send on Mecca.
Right.
And they limited it to just 10,000, and they had all sorts of rules and social distancing, this, that, and the other. And because
normally it is like everyone in the city is next to 4,000 other people. You're within a 2-foot radius of 29 people at any given moment.
If they had allowed Hajj to take place as normal, right, it would have been the super spreader event to beat all super spreader events. Like, it would have just been
we would all have had COVID by now.
It's possible. Or at least there would have been a lot of dead Muslims.
Yes,
right.
Indeed.
And they didn't want that. And nobody really wants that.
Oh, no. If we go back to Alabama and Tennessee, lots of people really want that.
They're like, "Oh, why are they taking it so seriously? Damn you, Saudi Arabia, and your belief in science."
Right?
at least on this issue. So this year, the Hajj and Umrah Ministry has issued a statement saying that only immunized pilgrims will be allowed to Mecca.
Okay.
During Ramadan, which I'm not quite sure exactly when Hajj takes place.
July 17th through the 22nd of this year.
That was last year's dates. It's April 12th through May 12th this year.
What? This says Hajj 2021.
Well, I looked it up and it said April, and then the article referenced the kingdom hosted Hajj in late July last year.
Well, I am outraged.
Well, I don't know who's right or who's wrong in this scenario, but we have differing information. Nonetheless,
I think Google's trying to trick Muslims.
Yeah. Oh, that's clever. I don't think that's true. Anyway, so only vaccinated persons will be able to go to Mecca this go around. There's no announcement as to like a limit to the number of people in this article or statement. But they're saying immunized, which is interesting. They have a definition of what they also mean by that. They say that those who have received 2 doses of the vaccine, correct, right? That's immunized. I would add plus 2 weeks since the second.
Yeah.
But proceeding, you kind of get where they're going with this whole thing. They say also those administered a single dose at least 14 days prior. So they're allowing that sort of that not full protection to kind of count.
They say that the first dose actually gives you quite a lot of protection after 2 weeks.
Yeah. And then people who have recovered from the infection, they're including in this, which I don't know that that's the best idea. I mean, obviously, if it was recent, and this is my theory as to like why our COVID numbers are pretty low right now in Utah, is that basically everybody got it because everybody was a fucking ding dong, right? And I don't know if that's scientific or not, but that's my theory. But they're running with that theory as well. And yeah, I think it's wonderful. I think they're behaving very responsibly, and they have through the entire thing.
There you go.
Saudi Arabia is not doing terribly great domestically, as far as like the infection rate apparently, but they have like 5 million of their 34 million population vaccinated. I mean, it's not bad. So they're working at it.
They're working.
They believe in vaccines, and I have to say, I don't know if there's like some strange branch of Islam that's anti-vax, but I've never heard of anything.
Yeah,
and so they're better. They're better off than the fucking Christians.
Yeah, or at least at least most of them.
As far as this issue is concerned,
yes, yeah.
So
I see so little difference between the Muslim world and the Christian world at this point. It is just, I mean,
it's probably true.
It's just different flavors of the same crap ice cream.
Yeah, no, that's true
at this point. Anyway, Frank.
Yeah,
I don't want to alarm you.
Okay,
but a god has died.
Wait, what?
An actual worshipped divine being has left this realm.
What the hell are you talking about?
I don't know if you know about this, but in the Pacific island of Vanuatu, there was a small group of people, one of these cargo cults, that worshipped Prince Philip as a divine being. And now their god is gone.
I wonder how they're taking the news.
Yeah. I wonder if they've heard.
I heard a lot of I was listening to the BBC World Service today, and it was wall to wall Prince Philip. I shouldn't have been surprised. But they didn't cover that angle.
Interesting. Yeah. It's been the weirdest little thing. Prince Philip arrived. Like, this happened. I'm not 100% sure how it all happened, but this,
Okay.
I mean, I should be, because I have looked into it, but literally this guy, for whatever reason, they had this prophecy that a mountain spirit's son would one day come to the island. I think he was just like the first important person that ever came to their island. And they were just like, holy shit, look at all the pomp and circumstance around that dude. And there you go. He was a Royal Navy officer, and he went there, I think, in 1974. But my goodness, that is... Now, he himself did not follow that particular cult. He was not... He
didn't join the cult that worshipped him.
I think he should have. I think it was rude not to. But no, he didn't. But did you know that he was not born into the Church of England?
Well, that would make sense because he was of the royal families of Greece and Greece and Denmark.
That's right. He was baptized Greek Orthodox as a youngin.
Oh, wow.
Born in Greece, I think. But became C of E at a fairly young age.
You would have to.
He attended Church of England services while he was in the Royal Navy and such. And then, of course, when he married the head of the church,
yeah, well, there's that.
he was formally received into the Church of England, so that everything would be proper, don't you know? Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's very good.
Yeah, I just think, yeah, that whole Vanuatu thing is amazing. The fact that there was a little group, and they had pictures of him up all over the place and stuff. They just loved that guy.
Well, I mean, he was, he.
You know what it is?
Fascinating character.
They like a guy who's willing to wear shorts and really long socks. That's that's what they're really into.
That's what their prophecies were really all about.
Yeah,
it was. He will bare his knees.
Yeah, exactly.
Our God shows his knees. Kneel down to the one who shows his knees.
Yeah, exactly. Bare your knees unto him as he doth unto you. Oh my gosh. Well, listen, if you know of any interesting gods that we should know about, you can tell us about it. Write to us, podcast@thankgodimatheist.com.
Or call and leave us a voicemail message. The telephone number is 424-666-8442. Stick around. There's a lot of show coming up.
Hey, Frank.
Yes, Dan.
We have, over the years, played any number of clips from the Jim Bakker show, because Jim Bakker is crazy, and his show is a lot of fun for us.
Right.
Unfortunately, so many of our country people take it seriously, but
that's true too.
I don't know how they take it seriously, because I'm going to play a clip for you. Now, the clip that I'm going to play is not the one that I found this week from the Jim Bakker show of a guy telling Jim Bakker, who's taking him seriously, that he thinks that an asteroid is coming to the Earth with an alien microbe on it that's going to get us all sick, and that's what's going to bring about the Antichrist. So,
wow.
I'm not playing the alien one for you.
Great.
I'm playing the one where we'll just see how you feel when you hear the first word out of Baker's mouth when he does his throw to another guy. Who is that crazy dude? I guess a guy named Steve Quayle. Baker's going to throw to Quayle. This one launches real good. Here we go.
Zombies that are on the earth are a disease like any other disease that affects people, and they become like zombies. Is that right?
Forgive me, but that's only part of the story. Zombies also have the evil spiritual entity known as demon possession, okay? Because there is no rationale with a zombie. The best way to explain zombies' bloodlust is this: the appetite of demons expressed through humans. It should be astonishing to people that the richest people in the world, not all of them, but some of them, are into occult ceremonies where they have to drink, blood that's extracted from a tortured child. Now that's sick, but that's the appetite of demons expressed through humans. The ancient world dealt with monsters, mythological and real. And this is something that is really important to get through. The disease will basically destroy the human defenses. God gave us defenses as humans to resist the devil and he will flee. But when you're inviting, or what's the word I want? Embracing abject demon possession, giving yourself over to be inhabited by the demons who then become your inhabitants, it's a twofold. What I'm saying, Jim, is they can induce zombieism, at least the appetite for human flesh. But at the end of the thing, it's both hands, right hand and left hand. And the left hand simply is the evil spiritual possession of that zombie. So the zombie protocol, and then I think people should say, okay, if this is all wild stuff, why does the military have a manual about it when it happens? Why does the CDC even have anything on their members, Center for Disease Control or Creation? I call it that. That's my opinion. The whole subject of zombies could be just boiled down at one end to a genetically modified human that is no longer human on the level that you and I or a living being is. Then that corpse, that walking and animated, there's a better word, it's not living. An animated corpse is possessed by a demonic entity. That demonic entity has knowledge, it has sentience, it has, how do I say this, a purpose to do nothing else but to destroy. And I think that's the easiest way I can explain it.
I thought the whole thing was crazy, but he wrapped it up at the end. It all starts to make sense by the end.
Yeah, you lost me at demonic possession and eating flesh, but you brought it back with the, oh wait, no you didn't. It just went, oh my God.
What the hell? I do have to say, I did not hear this one
right
prior.
I withheld it from you.
This is my initial reaction to it. And so the little, you sent me so that I would have the link when I edit it, edit the show. Right. So it popped up in my messages app, and there's the little thumbnail of it. And honestly, I clicked because I wanted a better look of the guy, right? Because it was small. It looked like Bradley Whitford,
Sure.
Larger, not so much. But what's great are the beautiful lion and tiger paintings.
Oh, yes.
Behind him.
Yeah.
Just lovely.
The man's into big cats. What are you going to do?
Non-crazy decoration. Not because having a painting of a lion or a tiger would make you crazy. Having this many in one place.
Yeah, having 6 or 7 just behind you for your Zoom call. That's getting
it might make you just,
oh my God,
a little seem maybe like an unreliable source of information.
They're literally trying to scare old people into believing in zombies.
Oh my God.
What the fuck are you doing?
What the you just I don't even there are no words.
No.
Right?
They've literally
so
broken down entirely at this point.
So off the rails. It's so truly unbelievable. and all of the conspiracy crap and all of like this the QAnon blood drinking of everything.
Yeah.
And it's like I don't even know. Like I always would hear like religious people, like parents of my friends growing up in Oklahoma who were religious and nutty, and their crazy obsession with like the mark of the beast and whatnot. These were not Mormon friends, right? And so like mark of the beast and whatnot, and it was always just so foreign, right?
Right.
But those same people now are just rambling on about zombies and the undead and drinking blood, and it's like, okay, the one was like fringe Christian, and now it's not even, what is it? It's not Christian.
Yeah. Apparently
It's
the new satanic panic might be about zombies.
I think it should be about evangelicals,
Right?
because they are off their fucking rocker.
Yeah.
Right? Like if there was a Satanism in this world, I'm afraid it's these people.
Yeah.
Now I don't believe in it and blah, 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 but like this fits it more than anything I've ever heard.
And they're real. We know that they're real.
Yeah.
And we know that they have a lot of guns. So that's always nice.
Always encouraging. We let both of these happen.
Yeah,
at the same
exactly.
time.
Well, we had some folks write into us, call into us. We had some people. The first couple of emails are about I did a story last week about schools that had the Crusaders as their mascot.
Oh yeah.
This one's from Will. Dearest Frank and Dan, I was subjected to 12 years of Catholic school, which is, of course, why I'm an atheist. The sports team at the all-male Holy Cross High School was the Crusaders. Even back then, I was less than comfortable with that being the school mascot. The school was founded in 1961 and closed in 2004 due to thankfully falling enrollment. For a few more years, they joined the all-female high school across the parking lot, Mother Theodore Guerin High School, became the Guerin College Prep Academy, but that also closed last year for the same reasons. The sports team at the combined schools continued with the girls' teams retaining their much better name, the Gators, and the boys' teams continuing to be called the Crusaders. Well, now they're gone and not a moment too soon. And then John in Ireland decided to chime in and say, wouldn't the most appropriate alternative to Crusaders for Evangel U be Inquisitors?
Oh yeah.
I think that's cute.
That's terrifying. Yeah.
I'll play. Let's play the voicemail, shall we?
Yes, indeed. This is from a listener who has gone deep into our archives.
Oh,
because the topic that she's bringing up, I do remember discussing on the show.
Sure.
But you know, I wouldn't even know what episode to go back and listen to see how we presented our take on she brings up baptisms, the Mormon practice of baptisms for the dead, right? Which is where Mormons, you know, they think they're offering salvation to people who passed away because, like, in Mormon theology, these ordinances have to be performed for you to get into heaven,
into the good heaven,
into the best of the heavens. And so they feel like they're doing you a big favor if you die without being able to do it.
There's so many theologies where, like, you know, you either don't hear about it or you fuck up a little bit here on earth and then it's like eternity in hell. So it's kind of nice that they've got like a loophole that they've created where even after you die having not been baptized, they'll figure it out for you. But that's not the take of our listeners.
Yeah.
So let's listen to this.
Plenty, but I would also like to add that there are plenty of groups that have, through the years, such as relatives of people who died in the Holocaust, who have been offended because they found out that the Mormons had baptized for the dead, one of their family members. So it's not just like, oh, it's super nice. There are ways you can see very quickly how it isn't always sort of
that it's
all
deeply
peaches and cream.
problematic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's
Anyway,
play the
caller
voicemail.
sort of takes us to task.
Oh, hey, Julie from Baltimore. Called a couple of times. No, I'm not a crazy stalker. Sorry, guys. But I am catching up on your different things. I've noticed, through your podcast, you're, equating, Mormon baptism for those that have already died is something that's harmless, and how nice of them to find a go around for people that might have otherwise been damned or left into the darkness or whatever they believe. I gotta say, it's not harmless. As a person that has suffered immensely at the hands of religion, I was sadly one of those children. It is not harmless. Body autonomy, spiritual autonomy, cellular autonomy, them going, oh, hey, we're just offering you salvation. Isn't that kind of like the guy driving past the little kid going, oh, I'm just offering you my sexuality with this whistle? No, it's not okay. It's not okay for their cultism to be given that innocence. It's not okay for them to be able to comfortably use other people to validate their own cultism without those other people's consent. It's just not right. I mean, I would be horrified and enraged if my child's name came out of any of their mouths. That would be just a horrible violation. So yeah, maybe they think that they're doing this innocent thing, and maybe you think they're doing this innocent thing, but what it comes down to is they're not giving a shit what anybody else wants. They're just doing it anyways. They're invoking people's names without permission, doing this thing that they know other people really don't know about, and they're doing it for the sole purpose of going, well, I'm going to do it anyway because I'm so much better than anybody else because I believe in my fairy tales and how they're out the rest of the world and all that other bullshit. So, I don't know, guys, maybe stop defending it a little bit. But doesn't religion have enough defense within its own ranks? We don't need to be helping it, do harm. Just a thought. Love your work. Peace and love. Bye.
Well, here's the thing. I think I understand where she's coming from, but I also I don't think we were defending the church. I don't think I'm defending the church when I say it's harmless, because what I'm saying when I say it's harmless, and you can feel free to disagree with me. I'm just going to clarify what my position is. Mm-hmm. This whole thing revolves around them believing in a magic that doesn't exist.
Yes.
So if I'm dead and they decide they're going to baptize my spirit or whatever, there's nothing. I don't believe I'll be there. I don't believe there will be any of me to baptize. And
right.
B, I don't believe in their fucking magic. Their magic is dumb and doesn't actually exist. It won't do anything. You're right that it makes them feel validated, and
I hate that part of it.
And
because
it's
my parents,
annoying.
Yeah, my parents have been really, really, really annoying in my mind about, my dead relatives who were Lutheran, right?
Right.
Who they've had baptized, for the dead into the Mormon church. And so I can, in one way, I'm like, and my mom will end up having dreams where the dead relative appears and thanks them and, and all this stuff for doing this. Right. And so she feels like not only is it validated, but they have accepted it. Right.
Right. Oh.
And so there's the outrage that I do feel, right, of just no, they were Lutheran, Mom. Yeah. Right. But then it's well, but they were also this other fake thing.
Yeah.
Right. And so, I mean, like, ultimately, I mean, it does nothing to me, right, as the person who knows that my parents are, living in this little, you know what I mean? Like, it's just not,
I mean,
it doesn't affect me. It's
you have to hear
annoying.
about it.
Yeah, the one time that she told me about it. You know what I mean? Like, but like otherwise, like, oh God, you guys are so silly. And that's, I agree with you, Dan. That's kind of my take on it, of like, it only has power over you if you like believe in it, right?
Yeah, or if you choose to give it power.
Or if you choose to give it power. Yeah, I totally, that's...
I mean...
There's nothing going on there. Like, if I found out that somebody, again, like, there's little things that my mom, I'm sure, is doing. And, like, I'm sure she puts my name on the temple prayer roll, right? And we can get into that at a whole different time and explain exactly what that is. But just, you can imagine, everybody. And so, like, I would find that annoying. I would only find it annoying if I knew about it, right? Because and that's kind of a dumb statement. I would only be annoyed by something that I know about. But if it gives her some sort of comfort, great, fine. It's annoying to me, but it doesn't do anything. It doesn't change my life. It doesn't change.
I equate it to like when the Satanic Temple does a pink mass for Fred Phelps's mother on her grave to turn her gay in the afterlife. Like, that's okay. That's in horrifically bad taste to do that. But it only has any power if you actually care about it. Like, if you actually believe in what they're doing. They don't even believe in what they're doing.
Right. But they're hoping that Fred Phelps does.
Yeah, they're doing it just to piss off Fred Phelps.
Right.
To my mind, Mormons can just go ahead and do whatever the fuck they want with whatever names they find in whatever records. It's just them masturbating. And it's spiritual masturbation on their part. And as long as I don't believe in their magic, to me, it means nothing. Yeah, if it means something to you, and I think they should stop doing it. It is clearly very offensive to a lot of people.
Oh, absolutely.
Mostly people who are believers in other forms of magic.
Yeah. I mean, I get the whole outrage over like the, Holocaust victims, those relatives and everything. But like the Mormons have been really stupid about who they've baptized for the dead too. Like, didn't Hitler's name go through?
Oh, like 1,000 times.
Yeah, like just fucking
Anne Frank
nonsense.
Also, like Hitler and Anne Frank both are Mormons now in their minds. Like, have the opportunity to be in Mormon heaven now. Yeah. Although you say that you're offended by this, but let me tell you something. When you're in Mormon purgatory and someone comes along and says, "Hey,
bails you out.
The work's been done for you," you're going to be grateful. No, you're not.
It is a little bit of an insurance policy, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Well, we had Graham wrote into us. Hey, Frank and Dan, I was listening to episode 487 and was very interested in your segment on the decline in church membership. Like you, I was very surprised that the numbers among college-educated adults was higher than non-college educated folks.
Yeah.
I wonder, do you think that might be a result of how many Christian colleges there are in the United States? Up here in Canada, most universities are public, with a few generally small private religious institutions scattered across the country. I don't know what the numbers are like where you are, but my impression is that you guys have a significantly higher percentage of people in private, religiously affiliated colleges than we do. It makes me wonder how many of those colleges, or how many of those college graduates in the survey should have the word college in sarcastic quotation marks.
So the numbers are just being skewed.
Yeah, I mean, that certainly has an effect.
That's an interesting idea.
And some not all religious colleges are built the same.
Yeah,
so, Liberty University, I don't see as that definitely deserves the scare quotes around, every degree that they issue. Same with, Bob Jones and Oral Roberts University, all of these stupid universities. But then, you know, you got...
Hey. Their music program at Oral Roberts. Kathy Lee Gifford went to Oral Roberts.
Okay. Make my point for me then. But then again, you know, then you got in the March Madness, you had Baylor against Gonzaga, and they're both proper universities, but they're religiously affiliated. I don't know. Yeah, it seems like it might actually have a have an effect on those figures.
Yeah. He was probably talking more about sort of Bible colleges and whatnot. But yeah.
But, you know, a lot of the people, if you go to a Catholic university or whatever, or a Mormon university for that matter, you're more likely than the average person to be Catholic, is my guess.
Sure. Gotcha.
Anyway, hey, look, when people like our show, which we are continually surprised that they do, but thank you, those of you who love our show, there are ways that they can show their love. And
tis true.
If you are a person out there in the universe who listens, loves our show, and has some income that you're willing to part with, you can give it to us. And I am going to thank the first person this week, who is Larry, who now I will endow with the Aaronic priesthood. Larry, praise be ye, you are now a deacon in the Aaronic priesthood. Well done, you. And do we have some other people to thank?
We do indeed, Dan. We have a new teacher over on Patreon.
Excellent.
By the name of Stacy. So thank you so much for signing up. And if you'd like to join these people in supporting the show, you can do so by going to thankgodimatheist.com and clicking on the support tab.
Do that.
And as always, Dan, we have our top donor, our Lord and Savior, Austin! Dan.
Hey.
You know,
our dear brothers and sisters, on this beautiful day.
They don't really do that anymore.
No, they've changed it a little bit. The cadence is a little bit different.
Well, the two that were the worst offenders of that are both dead.
Yeah.
You know, but there were two in a row that were like, Hinckley and Monson were like they would just lull you to sleep with that cadence, right? It was just like, oh.
In case you haven't picked up on this, this is a Mormon thing that we're talking about, ladies and gentlemen. It's the Mormon General Conference, which for now the third time has been only old guys and no giant audience in their huge building that is affectionately known as the Meganacle. This time, Frank, did you see the set for this year's or for this semi-annual?
No, I've been meaning to check it out.
Oh,
I haven't.
My God, it was amazing. So normally, what they've done in the last couple is just old men sitting in the normal chairs behind the podium, and then emptiness behind them, where there would normally be the Mormon Tabernacle Choir, and it would just be a dais packed with. I
mean, so it sounds like every single, because there are three incarnations now. Because the very first one, the one that happened right after the pandemic first started, it was just in like a theater space in their office building.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, they like just had like sort of a black backdrop, and they had some chairs, and there was like some raked seating, but they brought TV cameras and lighting in.
Right.
It was and then there were just like, they had like a couple of guys in chairs, and people would just kind of walk through, talk at the podium, and then disappear. Right.
And
I didn't even know the second one.
The saddest floral arrangements that have ever existed on Earth.
Because that's the one where they do the Hosanna shout.
Oh,
or whatever.
Right. And it looked like
just in
it looked like lettuce. It looked like they had put lettuce in front of them. Anyway, this time what they did was they created it looked like a community theater set
Oh,
They
really?
created these flats with like this fake brown stained glass behind them.
Oh, nice.
And then they sat all these guys on this stage area in maroon wingback chairs, sort of spaced 6 feet apart mostly. So that it's just this, it was the weirdest, ugliest, stupidest set. And then they put flowers on the floor, which is hilarious.
I'm gonna have to look it up. It sounds wonderful.
General Conference is where the prophet and his minions speak directly to the church members.
Oh,
so it's very important, and it's always excruciatingly boring. and I tweeted a thing about how long can you last? Like what's your Mormon stamina level? Because I can't take more than a couple minutes of it. But most if you're not. So I'm not particularly triggered by it. It's just too boring for me. A lot of ex-Mormons are very triggered by it, so they can't last any amount of time. And then non-Mormons, people who have never been Mormon, it might be like a curiosity for a couple minutes, but you will very quickly just go straight to sleep. So there's that.
Yeah.
But during this thing, all these old men and almost no women give talks. And one of the talks kind of was talking about us.
What? They listen? Is Rusty a fan?
Oh, for sure they listen to this show. No, talking about them as left the church.
Oh.
The folks who didn't put in the work to
to
maintain their faith.
I know. I didn't try nearly hard enough.
Oh my God.
I was just so close. I was so close, Dan, and I just gave up. The adversary, Dan. He lured me away.
Here's the quote. You want to hear the quote?
Sure.
This is directly from the prophet's mouth.
Oh, that must be true.
Prophet and President Rusty Russell M. Nelson, who looks like he just looks like imagine every 97-year-old man you can imagine.
He looks like Mr. Burns.
He does look like Mr. Burns.
Yeah.
That's right. Just if he would just steeple his fingers, he's Mr. Burns.
Yeah. He's so Mr. Burns.
Anyway, so this is what Mr. Burns had to say. He was talking about the obstacles that are in our way. He was calling them mountains. He said, your mountains may be loneliness, doubt, illness, or other personal problems. Your mountains may vary, and yet the answer to each of your challenges is to increase your tithing. No, increase your faith. He said faith.
Did he then break out into climb every mountain?
He said, that takes work. Lazy learners and lax disciples will only struggle to muster even a particle of faith. And that's just where I wanted to jump off from, because that is how they do. And it's not just Mormons. Believers in general just love to talk about how atheists are, what atheists believe. They don't want to actually hear it from us. They don't ever actually give us a platform.
Ask or listen. Yeah.
To correct them. But they are 100% convinced that they know exactly what atheists think. And
they read the section of the Book of Mormon that talks about Korihor, Dan.
That's right.
They know all about it. I actually opened the Book of Mormon the other day, and it fell open to that. And I'm like, is this a sign?
It is a sign that you need to throw away a book. It's a sign that you have a really horrible book that you should probably just burn.
No, it's one of the old blue ones with the Angel Moroni on the
front. It's a classic.
That's a great one.
It's a classic.
It's a collector's item.
Yeah, they love to call us the lazy ones. We're the lazy ones who didn't have the fortitude or the put in the work to believe. And I just want to ask you, Frank, Do you feel like you were lazy about trying to believe in the Mormon church? Was that your story?
Lazy is not the word that would come to mind. Not at all. I mean, like, it's such a wrestle, right? When you're struggling, because you grow up in the thing, right?
Yeah.
You want it to be true at this point, right? Like I wanted it to be true. I didn't believe it, and I was afraid of that fact, and I knew that I didn't have a testimony, right?
Right.
Like I wouldn't say lazy.
I would say
so, like,
it's
the
exact
the most
opposite
ridiculous
of laziness.
Yeah, of course it is.
Every ex-Mormon, everybody that I know who was once a believer in any religion, and then stopped, it wasn't because they were just like, ugh, I give up. It's too hard.
Yeah.
It's quite the opposite. They put in the work. I tortured myself for so long trying to believe, trying to make it work, trying to make it make sense in my head. I read scripture, I prayed, I did everything I could.
Yeah.
And it's literally the least lazy thing in the world.
Yeah.
To leave especially a high demand church like that has such a hold on your psyche.
Yeah. No, I know. And it's like, I mean, I will say, right? Like, so you do all this work, and then you cross this line where you finally just accept it and you start to leave. And then there's a ton more work that you have to do. And then you have to, like, do work on sort of just your own, like, sort of mental health and your outlook and everything, because, call it a cult, call it a high demand religion, whatever. It is a fucker to get out of your head, right? Mormonism. And
especially if you were raised with it as a child, if it's part of the programming of your childhood.
You served a fucking mission, right? Like it, it's in there and it's entrenched, right?
Yeah.
I will say that there is a line that you finally do cross that, I don't know if lazy is the right word, but if you wanted to be, right, things have gotten a lot easier as far as, like, how your brain works, and this constant struggle to, like, you're not having to, like, make things work that just don't make any sense anymore, right? And so, like, life gets so much better afterward, but you still always have, like, work that you're a fucking human being. There's always work that you have to do, right?
Yeah, although I gotta say, I know lots of people who stayed in the church not because of any sense of deep belief, not because of any sense of, like, the actual honest, rightness of the thing, but just because it was fucking easy. Their whole family was in.
Yeah.
They had a system in place. They had a setup that they have been doing since childhood.
Yeah.
And that's the lazy thing.
I'm gonna hold back on that, Dan. I don't think, like, maybe they didn't, have the guts or whatever, however you want to, like, look at it, to, like, take the leap and not face their family, in what they see and what they know their family will see as a betrayal, right?
Right.
But those people, I don't know, maybe lazy might be slightly applicable, but they're wrestling with shit, right? That is not an easy place to be. I'll say maybe I don't know about the word lazy, but it's not an easy place to be.
Here's the thing. I don't actually believe in laziness as a concept. I don't believe that it exists. But I will say that it can be, like, if we're just talking about taking the path of least resistance, which I think many people would define as laziness, I think that more people are in the church because of that than out of it.
Sure, I just don't want to paint with broad strokes where, well, look at them.
Right.
Unnecessarily, right? Like,
yeah.
Like, because, like, I'm sorry, like, if you're having to go to church, I know what you're saying about path of least resistance, but, like, if you are having to do this thing that you hate, right, and you have to just keep going, and, like, I've been on the ex-Mormon subreddit,
Yeah.
right? And there's a lot of people in there who are you wouldn't know they're ex-Mormon, right?
Right.
In fact, they probably aren't really ex-Mormon, but they don't believe it, and they'll be sitting there texting, or not texting, but commenting, on the subreddit and stuff in the subreddit about how they're sitting in church,
Right.
right? And it eats them up. What I don't want to make it sound like is that we're saying that that's the easy place to be. I think it's a fucking nightmare position for them to be. Is it the path of least resistance for their we're dealing with their families? Yeah, okay, I totally get that. Yeah, because you're right. Like, especially like if you had a family that was resistant to you leaving the church, me, or at least my parents,
Right.
then that's definitely not the path of least resistance.
Right. Yeah.
So.
It was later on in that same session in that same talk, actually, old Rusty had another this is another thing that they hit really hard, that anyone who is questioning their faith should, and this is the quote, stop increasing your doubts by rehearsing them with other doubters.
Oh,
in other words,
oh wow,
don't talk to us.
Right.
If you feel doubt, the last place you're allowed to go is to someone who might actually understand you and be able to hear your issues and
offer support
and identify with you.
Yeah. Wow. Oh,
So.
did they dust off the old gem, doubt your doubts?
Yeah.
No, I love that one.
But I do like the don't rehearse your doubts.
Don't rehearse
Which
your
means
doubts.
The second
Wow.
you doubt, just get it out of your head as fast as you can.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, there you go.
That's beautiful.
That's Mormonism for you. I don't know what your church was like or what they are like now. You can feel free to tell us about it. Write into us, podcast at thankgodimatheist.com.
Or call and leave us a voicemail message. The telephone number is 424-666-8442.
Yeah, hey, go to the Facebook page, facebook.com/TGIAtheist, and click that like button.
And also on Facebook, we have the Members Only Lounge.
Yeah.
Which you can find by going to our website, thankgodimatheist.com/members only.
That's right.
You gotta get that in there. And then, of course, you can also follow us on Twitter at TGIAtheist.
Hey, thanks so much to the Red Rock Hot Club for the use of their beautiful music.
And thanks to Gordon Johnston for the use of his music.
And thanks to all of you friends for tuning in. We appreciate ya.
Bye-bye.